Can everyone hear me? I hope so. I've had to turn on my MacBook's webcam. I normally run my webcam through my LG screen and my audio through my LG screen. But it's decided to not be recognized anymore. So, yeah, looks like I'm live. Hi everyone, I need to wave over here. It's a pretty bad picture, sorry. Wow, that was fun. Yay! I think I am live. I think it's all working. So, hi everyone. That's 2 out of 2 technical problems in the morning. Well, there you go. At least I managed to actually get the stream up. So it's going to be hard for me to, I'm going to have to keep looking away for chat this morning. Decaf coffee, anyone? Alan? Yeah, no, I need a real coffee actually. I'm doing vodka this morning. No, it's not really. It's just mineral water. So hi everyone, thanks for stopping by. So I keep thinking looking over there, but I need to look over here. I'll apologize if I look at the wrong camera, if I forget. What am I usually working with? It's I've got a 5K LG screen on my Mac, and it's got a 1080p camera at the top of it. So I normally use that with a built-in microphone, which is pretty good actually. But yeah, sometimes it just doesn't get recognized. Maybe if I unplug the screen and plug it back in again, but then I'll lose my capture, so I don't want to do that. So can everyone hear me? Yes, and yes to the hearing. Okay, good. Yay. Cool. So why I got to keep scrolling this down, do I? That's annoying. Okay, so what are we doing? Okay, what I want to do is first give you a quick rundown of the history of my, wrong window again, the history of my custom SAMD21 development board that I've made. This is the final product. So it's got a SAMD21, oh, can I do it backwards? SAMD21. It's got a, hang on, it's got a real-time clock on it. It's a 3231 ODS, like a Maxim chip. It's got a battery on there, USB, and LiPo charging on it. So it's kind of similar to like an Adafruit Feather. That's actually what I used as a reference design to start with. But it actually first started off after being on a breadboard like this. So my original plan, before I even thought about building my own board, was to just put a microcontroller Feather on here, and I've got a module for the real-time clock with a battery on it. It's pretty bad. It's got some buttons on there, and the idea was just to build I haven't even explained what the product is. It's called a time timer. It's a special type of visual timer for people with ADHD. So my daughter has ADHD, and so we use these time timers for her to understand how much time is left when she's doing particular things, different tasks. So I wanted to build a digital version, which is basically I just wanted to use a 3.5-inch TFT screen. This is just an Adafruit one. It's got an SD card at the back. So I wanted the screen as big as possible. This is the biggest I could get. And so the idea was I was just going to have a Feather on here, and the Feather would just have wires going out to the TFT screen, and I was going to stick it in some type of box. And I hated this. It's ugly. So I decided I was going to design my first PCB, which I did, and I built this, which is exactly the same as the prototype board, but it's still got the module that plugs on. So it's identical, but it doesn't have all the wires everywhere. It was all routed. Looks nice and neat. And then I put a header on the back, and this let me plug the TFT screen directly into it. So that was cool, and that worked. That was great. And I managed to get the box that it was in slightly smaller, but not a huge amount smaller, because as you can see, they're pretty much the same. Whoops. So I thought to myself, okay, that's fine, end of the project. And then I was watching a video from Sean Hodgkins, Idle Dev Hands, and he was soldering up a microcontroller board for a project that he did. I think it was a little robot thing that ran around that was, hello from a knockoff Chipotle. You're not even in your hotel room, Brian? Really? Okay. So he was soldering up basically it was a specific project, but it had a SAMD21 on there, and it had a LiPo connector, and it had a USB connector, and it had all the circuitry that basically was a microcontroller board. And I thought, wow, okay, so maybe I could make my own microcontroller board and slim this down and turn it into something that was actually, a proper product. So I designed my first PCB. This might be a bit hard to see because it's white. So this is my first attempt at it, although it says at the back, revision C. This is my first attempt, and it failed miserably for a few reasons. It was the first time I'd actually put a lot of components on a board, sent it off for manufacturing, realized I'd used a whole bunch of incorrect components. The package I used for the SAMD21 was the wrong one. I wanted a QFN, and this was the, can't remember what it's called, but the one that had the pins underneath it, so I couldn't work with it. I had the wrong chips anyway because I'd bought the QFN ones. I'd put just a whole bunch of incorrect components on there, and I thought, wow, okay, that was a fail. Thank God it was only a $5 US for the board, although again the usual $25 to ship it because I wanted them straight away. So I couldn't even put this board together. So then I made my second revision of the board, and I put all the parts on it, and everything was great except it didn't work. And then it turned out that I'd accidentally ordered negative voltage, the 3.3 volt regulator that I put on there. I put a negative 3.3 volt regulator on there, so it was pushing negative current through, which was whoops. So I actually have a version of the board, not that one, the version of the board here where I'd actually, you might be able to see just in the corner here, I ripped off the voltage regulator and stuck a big through-hole one on there to test it, and it worked. I thought, okay, great. So ordered the right voltage regulators, and I built the board, and it all works. It's I pulled it apart. It wasn't a case, but I pulled it apart. This is how the board attaches to the back of the screen, and it actually works really well. It's a nice finished thing, but it had one problem with it. So what I did was, it runs off battery. I've got a 2200 hour milliamp battery that runs off, and what I thought a clever idea is I put a switch on there, and what the switch does, let me move over to the screen. So what the switch does is it sits here. I'm capturing my screen now. You should be able to see, I hope, my cursor. Yep, you can see my cursor. I can see it in the stream. Woohoo! So I put power here. Can't see it, chat. And so this power basically has this switch on it. This switch that sits externally. And the idea was, the board's always running, it's fine, it's always being powered. The switch didn't turn the board off. Okay, that would be my DHL delivering my boards. Did everyone hear that buzzer? I am going to quickly run out and get my boards. Hold there, everyone. Woo! I knew that was going to happen. They are my new Neo 7 segment boards, just being delivered PCB way. Yay! Do that later. Okay, I'm back. So the idea was with the switch, was the switch would cut off power to the screen and will cut off power to the real-time clock. And so, although power would still be running on the microcontroller board, it should only be pulling about 11 milliamps, because that's basically what an idle SAMD21 pulls, plus a bit extra for the passives and stuff. So I'm out of breath now because I ran to the front door. So the idea was that when you're not using it, you turn it off. The other thing that I've got in code is that if after a certain timeout, it would just turn off the screen anyway, but not power to the screen. It would just visually shut down the screen. So turn the backlight off. So technically it'd be drawing a little bit less power, but it was still actually pushing the 5 volts to the screen. So the idea here, turn the switch off, the screen, power to the screen turns off, saves battery. But user error, and I'll call it user error, no one remembered to turn the switch off. So they'd use the time timer, it would go dull on the screen, and they wouldn't even think about turning it off. So the next thing you know, they're going to use it the next day, and it was dead, because it'd been pulling, you know, 600 milliamps, or no, I don't know, whatever it is, 260 milliamps, yeah, 260 milliamps off the battery the whole time, even though it looked like it was off. So I want to remove the switch, and instead I want to put a MOSFET in and use the same code that says, hey, turn the backlight off on the screen and stop showing things on the screen, to actually stop powering the actual screen. And that way there's no user involvement. After 30 seconds, it'll just shut itself off. If it's not being used, push a button, it'll wake itself up and it'll put power to the screen. So that's my plan for today. A computer achievement, is the camera above the last line? Oh, it might be. I might be. Sorry, hang on. Because I whacked this in. There you go. Sorry, Dave. Yeah, sorry. And I need to make sure I keep all this to the over here, so it's overlapping. Yeah. So I can't even see my chat window properly. Hope that's better. Yes, that was a quick delivery. I paid the $25 US to get it DHL, which is basically 2-day delivery. Yeah, it's a very long delay on the chat. We'll do the, yeah, I'll save the unboxing of the Neo 7 Pixels for another video. Okay, so as I said, the plan is, so there's one other change I've made to this board that I've already done on this revision. This is revision F. Was that one of the things I forgot to do on these boards was to add a, so you might see at the back here, there's the SWD. Now, can you see that? There's 2 pads for SWD for programming, which is the way Adafruit do theirs, because they've obviously got a rig that they can stick theirs in to program the chips, but I don't have one. And so it didn't occur to me that I had to stick a header on here or some way of being able to, I knew I had to program the chips, but it didn't occur to me that I couldn't just do it via USB. So to put the bootloader on the SAMD21s. So I had to rig up, just like solder some wires to the back pads here, and then use the wires to stick little, I can't remember what they're called, they're tiny little thin jumper wires. Alan K might be able to write in the chat, I can't remember what they're called. He was the one that got me to get them. And I soldered those into the wires, so I had a 3.3 volts and ground, because they had to be the same reference as the SWD connections. And then I soldered those to the end of the Atmel ICE plugs, so I could program it. It was a nightmare. And every time I had to make a board or change something or do something, I had to resolder them back on again. So in this particular design, you'll see over here that I've added, whoops, a debug header. Wire wrapping links, thank you. Yes, wire wrapping wire I used, which is really, really thin, really cool stuff. Not insulated though, or the one I had wasn't insulated. So I've got a debug headers here, which is sitting here. So let me just move this over. So I've had to rejig the board a little bit just to be able to fit this in. And the idea is that I've actually bought headers for these. They're a particular pitch size. They're different to a normal header size. But I got some of those and they're ready to go in, so I'll be able to program these boards easily. And I can always just leave the header on there. But I need to fix this section here. I need to get rid of this header because I don't want to have an external header here, and I want to stick a MOSFET in. So that's what we're going to do. Now I want to use actually, this is the MOSFET I think I'm going to use. So I want an N-channel MOSFET, right? I want to be able to say when there is power, when I send power to the gate, I want power to come through. I am a zero expert on MOSFETs. So, you know, like I understand basically that there's a, you know, it has a min and a max voltage coming into the gate to make sure that it, you know, we can get power through, and then there's a minimum maximum of power coming through, and yada yada yada. I look at these graphs and I think, ah, this is the reason I didn't want to do electronics to start with. But I think MOSFETs these days are fairly straightforward. In this case, I want to use an enhancement mode one. It's going to be just switching power. It's a pretty standard task for a MOSFET. So this is the one I'm going to use. It's a SOT23. So I need it took me a while, but I found a SOT23 MOSFET. This is the ones that Adafruit use. It's from the Adafruit library. So, and I want the reflow one. I don't want the wave flow one. Although, I mean, technically, they're just different package versions of it. But I'm going to go just the standard SOT23. I've also found these on RS Components, so I need to put my order in today. So let's add a MOSFET. I'm just going to do it outside the, oops, outside here. Okay, so there we go. Now, I want to hook into the existing system because I've already got the power routed correctly. So if I look over here, so this is the header that the TFT goes in. So we've got ground and we've got VCC for the TFT. So what I've basically done is I'm taking what I've called VBus, which is the power coming through either USB or through the voltage regulator, through the LiPo charge, which goes into the voltage regulator. So whichever way that goes through, it comes out here, VBus, and then it comes out and around, and this is where the switch sat, and through here. And I've just got a decoupling capacitor here just to regulate the voltage a little bit. Hey MJ. So I want to replace this section here with the MOSFET. So everything's already ready to go. So I've basically got VBus in and I've got VCC, in this case coming out, I've just called it VCC. And this routes all the way around here, and down here, and all the way across also to the RTC. So technically I turn the RTC off as well. I don't know how much power the DS3231 actually pulls from the VCC line, but even if it gets switched off, it's fine because that's what the battery backup's for. I mean, it's designed to keep time when the power to the board is off. Interestingly, for this particular project, I didn't even need the RTC. I wasn't aware at the time that the SAMD21 actually has a built-in RTC. Obviously, you don't have battery backup for it, so when the board's not powered, you lose time. But I don't need the time, I just need a timer when this board is running. So technically, I could have just done all this without the real-time clock and without the battery backup, which means I could have just done it on the featherboard, which is really annoying, but I learned that afterwards. So there's our MOSFET. Well, let's just hook up some stuff here. So I need a couple of resistors. I'm just going to pinch a resistor from somewhere else. The 10K resistor over there, that looks good. I'll just do a copy on that. I'm going to need, I think, 2 resistors. Can't remember. I'm going to need some grounds. We're going to need VBus in, VBus out. Okay, so I'm just going to do some copying, folks. Ground. 2 ground references. Okay. So I'm going to want power in. It's going to be, here's my name tool. It's going to be V-bus. Yes, I'm going to connect that. Stick a label on there so I know what it is. Everyone can see what I'm doing. I can zoom in a bit, sorry. Might be a bit better. Oops. Okay, so that's V-bus in. I also want to, need to pull that through resistor. Let's make sure that's connected. Sometimes it doesn't connect when you do that. Hello. Yep, it's connected. Okay, and then I need that to go to ground. Whoops. Okay, reset the second pin to be ground. Yes. Okay, so cool, got that grounded. Now, also need to just pull the MOSFET to ground. So this should be a pretty straightforward and easy change to make, but I've not tested this on a breadboard, of course. Never used, believe it or not, I've never used a MOSFET before, ever. So I'm making a lot of assumptions that this is just going to work. Okay, we need a resistor on here. That also needs to go to V-bus. That's over there. Yes. Okay, and we also need to, this is where we go out. That's going to be VCC. Yes. Okay. So that should be all we need. So power coming in, this is our gate. So this will turn it on and off. I'm using an enhanced mode MOSFET, so it's got a built-in diode, so I don't have to worry about connecting up a diode as well. So that's our power coming in, which will turn on and off the MOSFET, and this is our power coming through. And we're obviously when the MOSFET's open, so in other words, no connection can come through, then nothing goes through to VCC. But when it's closed, I think I got that terminology right. Have I got that back to front? I'm not sure. Then we get power through VCC, which is exactly what we want. And if it's plugged into the USB, then we're getting 5 volts. And if it's not, then we're getting whatever's coming through the LiPo, anywhere between 3.4 and I guess 4.2, depending on how charged the LiPo is at the time. So the actual TFT itself can run anywhere between 3.3 and 5 volts. So that's perfect. And this circuitry already works, turning the screen on and off. Okay, so we've got that. So if we go to the board now, we've got a whole bunch of stuff down here. So we want to move all of this up. And it's all going to sit, I need to put it above the board, because if I put it outside, I'm going to get that silly eagle error, because you can't put things outside. This is the bottom marker here. You can see here, the crosshair there, that's the bottom left of our board, and so everything has to sit top right of the board. So I'm just going to move all these up here, so I can then play around with them. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to delete this. Okay, it wants me to do that from the schematic. Of course it does. So there's a power. This is my header here. So we're going to delete this. Delete. Should just, yeah, we don't want that. those. So they're now gone. I want to keep the cap, I think. But I might move the cap just for now. Just getting a bit closer. Rip up this because it's ugly. Now I want to keep all my power at width of 12, I think. Oops. I'm still going to take the power from the outside. And so I want my MOSFET there. This way. I think. Just for now. The chat messages will be saved and viewed by other people watching. Scary. Hello, hey Electron Ash. Why is it scary? What have we said on the chat? Did I miss something? Did I miss something naughty? Oh, you can replay the chat, can you? Cool. That's nice. Okay. Yeah. Not a lot of room here for some resistors. I might just put that there. Yeah. You know. Zoom in. I really don't know where I'm going to place the stuff yet. Okay. Better keep that in mind for when I next beer while watching. Okay. Yes. Don't drink and drive, Ash. Don't drink and watch streams. Okay. I need this one below here. And I need this one up. Wish I could, when I do the rat's nest and tell it to do a fill, wish I could turn off the ground plane. Actually, I should. No, I can't turn them off. The copper planes. I'm doing some Eagle stuff too. I'm designing a new LCD replacement board for a game, something. What? For Game Gear. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds way too complicated. I like having all my stuff kind of looking the same. Okay, put that there. Sorry, folks, this is kind of a bit boring, but I like having my stuff kind of nicely aligned. I can always pretty it up later. I'll pretty it up later. Okay, so we've got VBus going. What's that? Oh, I'm using 16 for this. Okay. It's going to go straight to there. Okay, grounds are fine. I'm going to rotate that around. Can't rotate it around. It's fine. Gate coming in. It's really the wrong orientation. Decided. Wish I had it the other way around. You're getting buffering. Sorry if anyone's getting buffering. Had a lot of trouble getting the stream up this morning. I'm not quite sure why. The buffering is brutal. Constantly buffering for me and quite red. quite red. So, Dave. Yeah, I had a lot of trouble getting the stream up this morning. It could just be a connectivity issue. They did some work on my internet yesterday and I had no internet for 4 hours. And maybe they've just broken something. I don't know. I apologize to anyone that's having any buffering or doesn't like so much red on the screen. Yes, it is a bit ugly. Okay, I'm just going to take VCC to here. Not nice. I'm taking a few other channels lately. Yeah, I'd be surprised if it was YouTube themselves hampering the stream. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought they would have done that. I'd hope they wouldn't have done that. Okay, and I just need to, that's VCC. Really not nice routing, I have to say. Not my best work. But basically, so what have we got? We've got V-bus coming in. It's being grounded, resisted, goes into MOSFET. We've got ground, we've got VCC coming out, which I need to connect that up. Right, probably want that to go there. I can probably just go straight to here. Yeah, okay. So that's pretty ugly, but that should replace my power. So I'll probably set it back to 720. Yeah, I had OBS this morning tried to push me back down to 720 when I was trying to get the stream working. But on this panel here, it says my health is good. Primary stream. Yeah, it's saying my health is okay. The health is good. Yeah. 1080p. Stream status good. So I'm not quite sure what's going on, why you're getting any buffering. Pauses for 5 seconds every 25 seconds. If I could time it properly, I could just do like this. Freeze. Yeah, not really. I don't know. It could be my ISP, it could be the internet here. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. So that was really the only change I wanted to do to this board today. I mean, again, I'm going to play around with it. I'm just going to, I don't like how V-bus is coming out around to the left like this. I'll probably just move some stuff around, clean it all up. But that's the change I wanted to make the board. And it's kind of crazy because this board is really just being used for one project. I need one board for one project. I've got enough parts for this board though to make about 20 of them. Because of course when I bought stuff, I bought stacks of stuff because, you know, it's cheaper to buy reels than to buy small amounts. Although the SAMD21s are only like $4 each, so that's pretty cool. The DS323 ones for some reason were $11 US each, so I've only got about 6 of those. So each one of these boards that I made that I destroyed for one reason or another, expensive real-time clocks on those. There's $22 US of real-time clocks on here. Crazy. Thanks. Yes, it's. I think it's a nice, neat board. It took me a long time to get it this neat. A lot of routing, rerouting. So, anyone got any questions about the actual board or anything? Because I feel like I was saying to Brian this morning that I think that the task of putting the MOSFET in was going to take me about 20 minutes, and it's taken me about 20 minutes. And I didn't want to do a super long stream today, but yeah, I'm at a point now that was really the only change I wanted to make to the board. You can see the same thing on non-live vids. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to think that YouTube aren't deliberately messing with the quality of smaller channels, because if they are, that's just nasty. Board looks sweet. Thank you. Important, most small design, especially when the traces are too huge. A lot of 4-layer boards don't even have enough lower ground plane. Yeah, this is just a 2-layer board. It doesn't even need, 4. So a couple of things about the board. I mean, I made it for one particular task, but I thought, well, while I'm at it, I might expose other GPIOs just in case. So you can see here, for instance, A0. Anything that I've marked with a label is minimum. Anything I've marked with a label is a GPIO that I've exposed with a wire that I could solder onto if I needed to. Is that Dallas RTC just a SOIC with battery? Dallas? I don't know what Dallas RTC is. But this is just a DS 3231. This is the 16-pin version, and a battery, just so I've got a real-time clock. Oh, you're talking about YouTube? Make me lab? Yeah. Oh well, I hope you're wrong, but you know, it is Google, right? Anyway, so I've exposed, so A0 I've exposed, A4 I've exposed, D8 I've exposed, up here there's D7, over here there's D5, D2. So I exposed them anyway, just in case I wanted to use these boards for something else in the future, because obviously a bunch of them have been exposed via the header to the TFT. You know, I've got, you know, Mosey, MISO, clock, D11's going there, I've got D6, D12, D10 going there, A5. And then I've got a bunch of them that are also coming through to the buttons on the side. So like one of the things I did, I've got the external buzzer, which is stuck in the case right now, but it's just a piezo. And so I stuck it, I had this code that it was, I can't remember what it was called. It was a library, but it allows you to buzz a buzzer louder than normal by passing it to 2 voltages that you alternate rather than ground and a signal through one. And so I actually wired that up and it was great, except there was just an incompatibility with the library at the end and it just wouldn't work on the board. So what I ended up doing, as you'll see on here, was using some of the external wires that I had exposed and wiring up the buzzer to that, which looks pretty ugly. And so one of them is ground and one of them is just, I think I used D7. Is it D7? Yeah. And so I'm using the buzzer via D7 and ground now, strictly to the board. So I'm glad I exposed those. Going to be a rock star. Who's a rock star? What? Jealous has been bought by Maxim. Now, I forgot. Okay, this is a Maxim chip. I don't know who Dallas is or what chips they have. I'm pretty sure this has always been a Maxim chip. And I think there are some other companies that make a similar thing, but I went for the originals. Who's going to be a rock star? I'm not going to be a rock star. No. Hey, Leonard. Leonard, I got my boards. I got my boards. I get to try out whether the 3535 is going to work. Yay. Yay. Not opening yet. Oh, and I've also got my 3535s made of fruit. Oop, everyone see the logo? Yay. So between these two, I've got everything I need to test these boards out. But that's not for now. So I'm glad I exposed all these because I wouldn't have been able to connect the buzzer otherwise. But I feel like it's a bit of a waste of a board. But the reason I did it, like, I mean, this board would have cost me easily $1,000 in parts and time, or more. Like in time, incredibly more. I don't know. I think I mentioned in my last stream that I rerouted this board at least 5 times. 100 hours at least of routing. And, you know, that's what you do when you, you know, when you're learning how to use Eagle at the same time as learning how to make a microcontroller board, at the same time as trying to route this SAMD21. And this is only the 48-pin version. You can get a 60-pin version, and I wouldn't even know where to begin to route that. It was really, really time-consuming and difficult, especially doing all the decoupling caps. Remembering to put all the decoupling caps in, and remembering where I should put them, because you can just kind of willy-nilly put them anywhere. I mean, basically anywhere there's power going through. But like, it was just, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I did it. I learned a lot. One of the interesting things was the pad I used here for the USB port it's actually the Adafruit one, and the company that made these pads don't make them anymore. They're out. They're done. So I don't know how many Adafruit have got, because it's the same USB connector they use on all of their feathers or all of their boards. They might have a stockpile of a million of them or something, but I couldn't find one. Like, I actually pestered Adafruit, and they told me where they got them from, and I contacted the manufacturer in China and said, hey, I'd like to buy them directly, and they said, sorry, apparently the mold they used to make them broke, and they can't replace it, and so they're not going to. So they're just not making that part anymore. And so I bought about 10 different types of USB connectors from like different brands and different places and different models, and tried to find ones that fit. And I eventually found ones that fit enough that they stay on the board. You can see here, they stay on the board, but they don't actually touch those outside pads very well. So they're really only being held on by 2 pads underneath, and the 5 pads that, you know, the D plus, D minus, and power and everything's going through, and ground. So it's been pretty stable. Like, I have to say, I thought I was going to rip them off, but it doesn't line up at all. And I don't want to change the pad, because I know I've got some USB connectors that fit on this now, even though, as I said, they're not perfect. But I don't want to change the pad on this board in case I pick a different layout that is not compatible with anything I've got, and I start that process again. I probably made the usual mistake of not adding the caps and power rails first as well. Usually not too bad, but I don't want to put any components on the underside. Yeah, I definitely didn't want to put components on the underside. I wanted to make sure that this all went in the oven just in one hit. Dave White's been lurking on the stream. It's been fun. Got to grab an early night. Oh, hey Dave. thanks for joining. Have a good sleep. Thanks again for your help in promoting the channel, my channel. It's been awesome. I really appreciate it. And glad to hear you've got a reflow solution on the way. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with that when you get back from your holidays and your trip. So Dave and Dave is going on a holiday. Dave with his best mate Dave. I am using doing an idea. Okay. Cool. So I plan on this not being the last microcontroller board I make, but it's a lot of work making a microcontroller board, I have to say. I'd like to just be making boards for custom projects all the time now that I've got enough parts for all of these, but it's just a lot of work, and sometimes it's easy to go, you know, when you can buy like a D1 Mini, the ESP8266, Brian's favourite. When you buy one of these for like $3 or $4, and it's got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth as well, and it's faster than the SAMD, why would you make your own microcontroller boards? I don't know. I did it for the challenge. I really wanted to. I wanted to turn around and say I built my own microcontroller board. I wanted to learn and understand how it all worked. And you know what? It was really intimidating when I first started. But it's actually not overly complex if you really break it down. You know, you've got battery charging here, LiPo in, and you've got USB in. You've got a voltage regulator. You've got the LiPo charge controller. And you've got your SAMD21. You've got your crystal with 2 caps. Everything else on the, and a reset button, which you don't even really need, but yes, you need a reset button. Everything else are just passives that support the board, and a lot of it's decoupling, a lot of it's just resistors that control, you know, amps going through. I don't know. It's like it's a not a overly complex thing when you really break it down. I mean, this whole right-hand side of the board from these two resistors onwards is all just my stuff. Just resistors going to buttons and the real-time clock. Everything on the left, you know, that's it. It's pretty basic. So I'm super glad I did it, and I learned a lot, and I'm a lot less intimidated by microcontrollers now than I used to be. Yeah, BitLooney's stuff on his SNES controller. How cool was that? He's I don't know what the deal is with his legalities of his Tetris, because I'm pretty sure it's still all copyrighted. It's owned by, I think it's owned by Atari now. It could be, or was it EA? It could be owned by EA. So that's interesting. But he's building an actual controller, like a console with controllers that goes composite out to a screen, a TV with an ESP32. That is just crazy. Good on him. Look, he's up for the challenge, and he's done a really good job. Yeah, EA. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I knew someone had it. I couldn't remember. So, and he said to make definitely good to go with the USB port with the pins, tabs on it. They get broken quite often otherwise. Yeah, I know. As I said, I was quite worried about how well that sat on there and how solid it was, but it's pretty solid. I mean, that, you know, I had my daughter and my wife plugging the USB power connector into this in and out all the time, didn't have any issues with it. Yeah, Dave's building is it the Lame Boy? Dave Darko? Yeah, his little Lame Boy is really cool. And I like his cartridge solution. That's really clever, using SD cards as a form of a cartridge. Yeah, well, his 3D output stuff with the composite thing was great. I commented on that vid, suggesting that it might be possible to RGB quite easily. Oh, Electron Ash. You're challenging everyone. Do better, do more. Color. Who wants color? No. I mean, you could already see how bad the composite quality is already. Like, if you throw color into that with the amount of bandwidth he's got, I reckon that's going to do a lot of bleeding and look pretty bad. But maybe. Let's see what happens. He might do it. Anyway, so that's it with the board, guys. Guys and girls, I should say. Folks. That's all I really wanted to do. And I guess my next step is to get these printed, put one together, and see if it fixes and solves the problem. I guess I should also I should fix these. The buzzer, put that back to ground. Might do that now, put that back to ground in D7. I don't need that on D3 and D4. Where's my buzzer? Here. Okay, so that's going to be, whoops, wrong one. Make that ground. Yes, I'm going to make that, sure, I'll put it on D7. Yes. It could be surprised the sort of resolution you get of those MCUs. Like a RAM for the frame buffer. Yeah. So I wonder if you could actually add separate flash. I mean, there's a lot of microcontrollers these days that have got separate flash. Maybe he could add like a 2 meg or 4 meg flash. Separate one that you could just use for frame buffer. I wonder if that'd be fast enough. Interesting. You should ping him and ask him, Electron Ash. I just love how zany his channel is. It's hilarious. He always just does funny stuff. Okay. So I've just broken these, which is fine. So I need to rip these up. Ground, that's really close there, isn't it? There's not a lot of yeah, there's a bit of ground there. Okay. So I need to pull D7 through. which means I get D4 and D5 I need to expose. Do some superb streams at the moment with this first FPG. Who's Ferris? I don't know who Ferris is. Does anyone know who Ferris is? Okay, I'll have to do a search. Okay, thank you for the link. Does everyone get that link? Are you still a mod? How could you post a link? Did I not unmod you? Let's have a look. What's going on? Yeah, look at that. You it's all the mod stuff I did the other day. Everyone's still mods. Nice. Don't abuse it, Electron Ash. Don't do it. Don't abuse it. If you're naughty, I'll revoke. But thank you for posting that. If it blocks the links, then his channel is what? First stream stuff. Okay, cool. We are all mods now. Yes, everyone is mods. How am I going to get D7 out there? I shouldn't do it D7. You know what I should have done? I should have left it D4. I'm just going to undo all that. Whoops. Lost my mouse. Okay, and I've lost my chat screen. There it is. Oh, I know, my best behavior. Yes. Huh? Who's huh? I'm just gonna undo that because so I'm gonna put my traces back in. Yes. Okay. So let's try that again. Who's saying huh? Epic Bants. Who's Epic Bants? What's Bants? Please let me know if I ramble. Much about projects, I do a lot. Taking over the chat. you just run the chat, and I'll just sit here and route. I think that's a good idea. Don't forget Brian's also a mod, so he can boot you. Okay, I'm going to go put that to ground, and I'm going to keep D3. That's what I'm going to do. Because it's already routed, and getting to D7 over here, getting out of here, is going to be hard. There's just not enough space. I don't want to pull that apart. Dave Darko's still there, yeah. So Dave Darko, are you actually? What are you going to do? Are you just making a one-off project with the Lame Boy? Are you going to sell them as kits? Are you going to make them? Are you going to sell them? What's the deal? Like, I've seen a couple of revisions on your web, you know, on Twitter. Are you? Let us know what you're doing. I'd love to know. Because if you're going to make them and sell them, I'll buy one off you. D4, gone. Okay, so we're at D3 and ground to the buzzer. So I'll just change my code to make that D7. The current version is on Tindy. Is it? No way. Okay, I'm going to look that up. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Everyone go buy a Lame Boy off Dave Darko on Tindy. Dave ships more boards than Shinsen. Oh, no SD card cartridges. Oh, no, come on. When's that version coming out? That's the one I want. Who's German Dave, by the way? Might be subbed. Don't know. So far, I sold one on Tindy, 2 in real life. I'm going to have a look now. Let's have a look on Tindy, folks. I'm just going to open up a new thing. Tindy.com. I'm going to do this on the stream. Yay! Lame Boy. Okay, where's the Lame Boy? Here we go. Shipping to Germany. Why am I shipping to Germany? Oh, I hate how Tindy does this. So, wow. I'm logged in. It knows where I live, but it's telling me that shipping to Germany starts at $8. I wonder what's going to tell me when when it realizes it wants to ship to Australia. Looks really cool. So what's wrong with this version? Version needs some work. That's a weird Tindy bug. Yes. Also discovered. Yeah. I don't know how to say his name, but I've seen his channel. There you go. Oops. Didn't mean to click there. What is it? It has no sound. There are no games. This is not an emulator. Okay. So what's it good for, Dave? That's rude. I didn't mean to be rude. So when's the next revision coming up? Version is soft to solder, too many parts. Yeah, it looks pretty epic, I have to say. Are you going to do an ESP32 version? It's got MQTT, so you're going to use the Lane Boy as a remote control to run your lights in your house. That's cool. Okay. So has anyone got any questions about the board? Or anything? Because if not, we're just going to make it a short stream today, I think. Because I want to possibly jump on and have a look at my Neo 7 boards and see if that's going to work. I have a version where I freed the reset pin. Free the reset pin. Does that free the users? And then use the pin for sound. Okay, interesting. Total bodge. So I've got a bit of worry with the Neo 7 change that I made. It occurred to me after I sent the boards off for manufacturing that I wonder what's going to happen if I try to run the WS chips and the SK chip, you know, two different pixels in line through the same data. I mean, they're supposed to be compatible. I know that the NeoPixel library supports these pixels, but will they actually run? Like if the 29th pixel is a different brand, is that actually going to work? I don't know. I'm a bit worried about that, because if it doesn't work, then I'm back to having to put the nub on. So I'm keen to find that out. Otherwise, I think everyone, that if that's it and no one's got any questions about the board, I'm going to shoot this off. Well, I'm going to tidy up the MOSFET a bit and then shoot it off for manufacturing. And I might put it together on a stream or a video one day, maybe not a stream. These are quite complex to put together. Or maybe, we'll see. I don't know. I'd have to set up my stream over on my electronics desk, which is over the other end of the room, all the way in the far corner. Down there, I've got an electronics station set up. That's where I do my soldering work. I just thought I'd share that. I know, but it had a dedicated pin to reset the LCD. 25. Yep, this is just a lot of chatter about 8266 and ESP32. Maybe just scroll through the project on Hackaday. Oh, it's on Hackaday. Cool. Okay. Okay, folks. Well, if there's no questions about the board, I think I will call it. I'm going to get on with my day, finish this off, send it off, build some Neo 7 boards, I think, or at least do a unexpected mail unboxing first. And I don't know what else I'm going to do today. I've updated my library, by the way, my Neo 7 segment library. It's now class-based, and it's got some, it caches the string info, so when you tell it to display this string, it doesn't build the string into segments every time. It checks if the string's changed, and if it hasn't changed, it's already got all the byte data cached. Just saves a bit of time. Not that, you know, it's not like a computer where we're worried about pinching cycles away from the graphics card. It's, you know, the chips are still fast enough to run it anyway, but I just thought any less overhead on the microcontroller would be better. So I'm progressing along with that. I'm looking forward to doing a new video on what my library looks like. Other than that, yeah, I think I'm going to call it, everyone. I'm sorry you guys are chatting away amongst yourselves. That's fine. What's this? Near Melbourne. My brother lived in Frankston. Frankston's kind of near Melbourne, about an hour away. Nah, not really. 40 minutes. About 7 years, and the living rooms are huge. Depends on the house. If you get a small house, you get a small living room. Just saying. If you get a big house, you get a big living room. It's pretty relative to the size of the house, I would think, not to the location, geographic location. Yeah, not a lot of people live in Geelong comparatively. No problem. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. Sorry I had the hiccups at the start. I'm always learning. This is all, streaming stuff's all new to me. At least you didn't see me having a hissy fit at the start of my stream this time, so that was good. And until next time, I might do another stream next week. I don't know what I'm going to do on it yet, but we'll see. Either way, I've got an unexpected mail video coming, and I'll do a video on the Neo 7 segment build for the new boards. I might check if they work first before I do a video, because I don't want to do a video that ends badly, because I'll just be embarrassed. And some other exciting projects on the way. So, thanks. Catch you all later. Have a nice evening. If it's evening, have a nice day if it's daytime. And I will, as Great Scott says, see you next time. Bye.